Hello, my CNC brothers and sisters. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and
I am Kate Tucker with Women Who CNC. It's so nice to have you guys back tonight. As,
yeah, welcome.
yeah, you all are in for a very special treat. As you well know, we have an amazing special guest for you. But first, as you know, I'm going to let Garrett make that announcement, and then we will go over some quick and dirty house rules for anyone that is new to the channel.
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, everyone, welcome to our Wednesday night CNC Hangout, where we're going to work on expanding out, broadening our whole scope of things from CNC and getting more into woodworking. And tonight we've got a wood carving guru. His name is Ray Kinman, who's been he's a master wood carver and been carving for Disney for quite some time, and has been hand carving for 46 years now, I believe he told me, and that's a long time to be chipping away at some wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a long time. And but anyway, yeah. So for those of you who are brand new, like I said, welcome. And our sister Kate is going to do the routine. First of all, I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and IDC Woodcraft is a company that provides CNC router bits to CNC creators. And we do this show every Wednesday evening, and that's kind of it. We work on getting special guests on as much as possible, people who are masters in their fields and can help all of us. So before we dive into getting that, let's say some hellos and cover our house rules. Kate, the floor is
Yes.
yours, sister.
All right. Well, I will go right along with what Garrett said and welcome anyone to everyone that is new. And I will say, you guys are probably noticing my background for our regulars. You guys know last week I told you I was traveling to Ohio. So I've been working with a gentleman. His name is Dan. And I am here in Millersport, Ohio. And let me tell you, I just want to give you a quick little synopsis of what's going on here. So this gentleman is absolutely, I just want to say, he's an incredible human being. He has taken on for his entire community. He is doing veterans plaques, cemeteries. He's cutting into stone. He's got a fiber laser. He has a 130-watt humongous CO2 laser, and I have been helping him get those things set up, off and moving. And tomorrow I'm going to be try to stream some feed. We have a rock. I'm not kidding you. This rock is probably maybe 20 inches thick by a carving area of 35 by 22. So we're going to be carving into a massive rock. I sent Garrett a picture of it earlier via text.
Yeah, I
And
saw that. I was like wondering, what are you going to do with that? And turn that into a step on your doorstep or something? That was a big rock.
it's huge. So I'm very excited. I'm here working with him as part of my one-on-ones. We've kind of taken the one-on-ones on the road to help some of our fellow makers that are really struggling out there. So I'm very excited. But with that being said, I will go ahead and say some hellos and then go over the house rules. So Garrett, do you have our number one person for tonight?
Yes, yeah. So just to kind of head things off, today was the day of technical Flubars. The link to the IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel broke for some reason, and so we had to set one up real quick, and then we were getting Ray set up, and of course life is crazy for you right now, and yeah, but
Here we are.
yeah, I forgot what else I was going to say.
Well, our number one person. I am
Oh,
not
Mark
sure.
Lindsay. Mark Lindsay. He was the
Oh,
number one in the yesterday when we posted it.
okay.
But when we had to repost today on IDC Woodcraft, it was, well, Julianne, do you know who it was? She doesn't know. Chris Gallagher. Chris Gallagher. He was the first
Chris
one after
Gallagher.
we reposted it. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations to Chris for being the number one tonight. So we have to always make sure we can comment, give it, I want to say give it an award. I can't talk tonight. I have been talking and talking all day. So I'm like, blah.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and say some hellos. So I see
Yeah.
that Oz is on here. Hey, Oz. I see Brian, Richard, We see Vortex 8. We've got a lot of our regulars popping back in. I know we're going to have lots of new people. So we have Steven. We've got Jack in the Shop is back. Dion. Okay, I just see. Oh, I saw someone is here at the Mark Adams School of Woodworking, and I'm not sure who's there, but that is actually about 10 minutes from my house. I
Oh,
love
you
that
got to
school.
go. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see who else. Oh, we have Brooks Martin, Rod Hess, Jeff Taylor. I'm doing a little scrolling here. Of course, you guys know we have Julianne that is always in the background helping you guys out, being amazing. Flash Gordon, Morning Sunny from South Africa. That's awesome. I love that. All right, so we've
Really?
got Stephen and Chris and Dean. We have so many people on here tonight. I don't want to tie up our show tonight and our guests waiting in the background with all of that, but I'll go over really
Yeah.
quickly on the house rules. So as you guys know, with the IDC Woodcraft channel and with my channel, Women Who CNC, there is a zero tolerance policy for any type of negative or just ugly speech. Just be kind to one another and be thoughtful with your comments. If you disagree, that's okay to disagree, but you don't have to be cruel. So that's the number one rule. If you are and you choose to make those bad decisions, there are consequences. So just expect to be booted off of the channel. So with
Right.
that
Yeah.
being said, I'm going to
Yeah.
turn it back over to you. And
Okay. Yep. All right. So there's a few people coming in from Facebook. Dave Grouse, saw you there from Cincinnati. I was born in Cincinnati, and I only live about 80 miles from you down in Madison, Indiana. Kate's not much further from you in Indianapolis.
yeah,
But you may want to jump over to either the Women Who CNC YouTube channel or the IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel, where we are also showing, and this is where everybody's hanging out at and dialoguing with each other. So anyone on Facebook, come to either one of those two channels. And Julianne, I'm going to bring you out for a minute. Our goddess of organization, Julianne, the administrator for IDC Woodcraft. Julianne. Oh,
yes.
she's in the
Hi,
background making
everybody.
sure all your questions are pulled out and queued for us. And we cut off at 9 o'clock with the questions because it just takes a long time to get through them. And it's just what it is. And so Julianne's back in the background. She's chatting it up with all of you, and she'll keep things going in the background for us. Thanks, Julianne. And what else do we have? So next week, just to let you know, we have another guest coming on, an up and coming YouTuber who has been getting into CNC quite heavy lately these days. A gentleman named Greg Godor, and he is STL Woodworking. He's been in the comments here, and he's got a YouTube channel. He's at about 22,000 subs right now and climbing. I've been watching his channel, and Greg is someone who's working on. Yeah, he's working in the workforce and working on growing his own thing at the same time. So he can share quite a bit about his experience in the process. So for those of you who want to make a go at this to make money, Greg is one to ask some questions to. And what else do I have here? I think that's it. Other than take a minute to give Kate and I a thumbs up, regardless of which channel you're on. IDC Woodcraft, give us a thumbs up for taking the time out and bringing people on board, and hop over to Women Who CNC. Doesn't matter which channel you're on, just give us both a little thumbs up and a little bit of love, because
Perfect.
that's what we're both doing, trying to grow our shows. So with that, I think we got it all covered, Kate, don't you?
I think so. 9 o'clock questions, comments, hellos. I think we're good to go.
Yep. Make sure that you start your questions off with a couple of question marks or the word question, so we can flag it and tag it and start to answer them. So right now we are sitting with 320 people, and we're going to go ahead and bring Ray Kinman out. Ray does some magnificent work for in the wood carving, and he does carving for Disney. But we'll let Ray share a story. Ray, you ready? Give me a nod and we'll bring him on board. All right, here we go. Hello, Ray. Good to see you again.
Very good to see you, man. Hi, Kate.
Hi, how are you, Ray?
I'm good. When you first came on the screen, I'm looking at your background. I'm going, Kate's done her bedroom and courtyard interior design. Yeah, got it.
I know, and the lighting is terrible, you guys. It's like, why do they not have more light in a hotel room? It's horrible. I don't know what to do. I even bought my ring light, but it's just like not doing enough. It's just struggling.
We can still see your pretty face, sister.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that's
Right,
the
right.
design theme is horrible. That's what they're trying to get you to feel.
I
Yeah,
guess.
they need to hire a good wood carver to put on stuff on the walls and behind there.
Yeah, right.
So so this is the second time Ray has joined us. The last time was at the end of December and shared a lot about wood finishing, gave some very interesting tips. What really caught me was Ray was the color thing. You said dark colors mean far away kind of thing. And but for those who have not seen you before, not heard of you, give us the 5-minute elevator speech of who you are, where you come from, how you got to where you gotten to, and how you landed at Disney.
What a strange story that is. I'm a self-employed traditional wood carver that do my work by hand. And I've been doing that it's 47 years now. Garrett, one more year.
47. Okay.
Years. I've been a self-employed wood carver for 47 years. And I've been working out in my garage the whole time. It's great. Perfect. So I started, well, yeah, I'll give you a little bit later. I'll tell you a little bit about that. I'm going to do a slideshow and show you some stuff. So
Yeah.
but in the beginning, I knew absolutely nothing. It was I was a full-time musician at the time, and young. I was 19, 20 years old right there, and I was at Lake Tahoe, and
Beautiful place.
as a musician in like casinos and clubs around up there. I still gigging, by the way, bass player. So my girlfriend came to me and said, "We're pregnant," and I'm going, "Yes, as a musician, right? Oh, that happens." So I was kind of looking for something to do, and I had the only thing I knew how to do was play bass. I had never really had any education or anything, and I had a friend who was opening, excuse me, a restaurant in Kings Beach, California. And we were talking about it. And at that time in North Lake Tahoe, this is back in the 77, 76, something like that. And there were all these carved signs all over town. You couldn't miss them. It was done by this man named Ron Ramsey, who's a very close friend of mine. And really beautiful work. And so Marty, my friend, was opening a restaurant, and I asked him, "Who's going to do your carved sign?" And because I was going to recommend Ron Ramsey. And Marty looks at me and he goes, "I don't know. Ron will probably charge me a fortune." He says, "Why? Do you know how to do it?" And it was like this big dead spot. My mind's going about 1,000,000 miles. Baby coming, I'm a musician, what am I going to do? I said, "Yeah, Marty, it's been a while since I've done it. I'm kind of rusty, but sure." So I volunteered to do it. And I had no tools, no money, no place to work, no knowledge, no woodworking experience. I couldn't draw. But for some reason, I thought I could do it. And that's how I got started. And it was a long, hard road, but eventually I wound up working with Disney Imagineering for a little over 30 years now, with some of the best artists and creative minds in the world. So I'm really lucky. I've had some lucky breaks.
That's really quite incredible. So I'm most interested to hear no money, no place to work, no tools. and no drawing skills. So how did you, where did you even start? Like,
No kidding.
you just kind of leave us hanging. So, I mean, you have to tell me, like, what.
All right. Yeah. So I borrowed.
What is this about? I mean,
I had a friend.
Yeah, there's a Facebook user saying, "What made you say yes?"
yeah.
It's sheer terror. I had a baby coming. So I got to do something.
Ah, you're
It
back
still
in the
works,
corner.
but sheer terror method works. So how did that happen? So, I had a friend who was a woodworker, and I went to him, and, I didn't know what kind of wood to use. I had no idea how to glue up a blank that big. And so he kind of came and showed me. We walked around town, looked at some of Ron Ramsey's signs. We talked about how to do it. And I found out some basic tools I needed. And I borrowed the money from my dad, $30, Dad, to buy my first tools. By the way, I have those right here.
Oh my God.
First tools.
These are my first two tools.
No way.
Or they're $30 from my dad to buy these. I still use them. This tool used to be about this long.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't know if I ever paid my dad back. Maybe not.
Wow.
So I couldn't draw, and there was, like, back then there was no computers, right? So to do lettering, how do you do that? So what I figured out was, I had a friend who's a graphic designer, and she taught me about press types. This doesn't exist anymore. It's this little, like, decal kind of thing. So graphic designers used to press it onto their piece of paper, right? And that's, instead of a computer font, that's how you did it. So I did this press type thing, rubbed it on the piece of paper, and then took a photograph of it with slide film, like 35 millimeter slides. And then I projected it up on the piece of wood and traced it out. And that was kind of how it went. And, hey, Marty and I have worked out a deal, right? It was like a trade. It was like, I'll give you 50 dinners at my restaurant for carving this sign. I thought, great. So the sign really came out bad. I mean, it's just terrible. But
so somebody asked, somebody asked about
the food of the rest at Marty's restaurant was pretty bad too. So it's a good trade.
Someone asked if you have a picture of that first sign.
I know it exists, but I don't have one.
Oh man,
love to have one. Although I do. You want to see? I'll show you some. Hold on a second. I do have. When I first arrived at Lake Tahoe, I was 19 years old, and completely broke. I mean, I hadn't. My very first paying gig. I was an airbrush artist at that time, or I did airbrush T-shirts, and that's not exactly art, using stencils and stuff. Right? So a friend of mine just sent me, and my very first paying gig as a self-employed. He was this, and he just sent it to me in the mail. It's this banner for a local food co-op that I airbrushed. This thing.
Oh, look at that!
That's
airbrush.
Yeah,
and so that's beautiful. That's cool.
Beautiful.
And you're going to demonstrate some airbrush tonight, is that right?
Yeah, if you want, I'm set for it if you want. So it was really hard. I mean, that was just the first part. The rest of it was harder than that. Trying to get going and get known, and it was hard gig.
Yeah.
So the years went on, and then you found Disney, and what you told me was you were sending them letters for about 2 years with no response. Then you finally quit sending them letters. And what happened?
Yeah,
I like that kind of laugh.
Well, we took our kids to Disneyland when they were very little, like parents do, and when I grew up by Disneyland, so to me it was like, it's that place you go stand in line. I didn't really pay much attention to it. But when we took our little kids there, it started looking different. And I'm looking around and going, wow, these people are really good. I mean, they are good.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know, I bet I could do stuff like this. And I thought I'd look into it, right? So I did some detective work, and I started, you know, found where you know, Disney Imagineering. I started sending my portfolio in. This is before email, so it was, you know, photographs over and 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 over again. And this went on for a couple of years with no response. And yeah, at some point, I just kind of went, I'm doing something wrong. It's not going to work. This is not going to happen. So I just kind of quit. And it was very shortly after that, maybe a matter of weeks, that I got a phone call from the senior graphic designer at Imagineering, top guy, who had just went out for lunch, went into a restaurant where I'd done some work, saw my work, and got my number from the manager. So that was it.
That's funny. That's funny. It wasn't even from your letters. It was from your work.
Lucky break.
That's cool. That's cool. So how long have you been with Disney now?
31 years.
That's wow.
Wow.
Career. And you were supposed to be at their studios this weekend, or this week, weren't you?
Yeah, we had a delay. I'll be there next week. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Get you back there next week just so we can see.
I'm working on a couple really great projects. I can't tell you about them, but wow.
Yeah. Well, Ray, we got some questions already out here. So first of all, you wanted to show some of the stuff that you have. You got a PowerPoint with some things. Is that right?
I do. I don't know how to make it work, but let's see if we can. Oh, by the way, my wife Marisa is on this YouTube live video. She's going to do some dazzling camera work. So she's big. So
she's in the background there.
All right. So Garrett, you walk me through how to do this PowerPoint thing.
At the bottom, it says, as long as you get the PowerPoint launched. Do you have it launched on your computer?
It's there.
All right. So down at the bottom of your screen, it says present.
There's present on the StreamYard.
Yep. Click present.
Okay.
And then click share screen. Now window's going to come up. And you'll see at the top of that window, it's going to say Chrome tab, window, and entire screen.
It doesn't say that. It says share screen. Would like to record this. No, I don't want to record this.
We'll have it recorded.
Oh, okay. I'm getting there. I hope this is working.
It looks like we see it.
You see it?
Yeah, we see your computer. So go to your. You have to go to your PowerPoint. You have to close that and reopen share PowerPoint.
Share PowerPoint. Marisa, can you look at? I'm sorry, you guys.
I have my
own personal IT person here. This is where he's at.
Hey, Liberty has joined everyone in the background. Hello, Liberty. And Liberty is the shipping manager for IDC Woodcraft. So she's back there. She is back. So she's back talking to everyone, but she's not on board here. Oh, yeah, she is. Liberty's here. Yeah, so what you do is
where you were.
There's going to be a blue button on your screen, and that's going to say stop sharing. It should be up at the top.
All right, hold on. StreamYard. No, not StreamYard. Studio. There we are. Okay. Stream this to your audience. No. Stop sharing, you said.
Yeah, stop sharing. Okay. Now you stop sharing. Now go hit as long as the PowerPoint is open. Now go back to your StreamYard screen.
Okay.
And click present.
Okay.
And then click share screen.
Okay.
And then there's a window that opens up for you.
So I click
go again? At the top. At the top it says Chrome tab, window, and entire screen. You want to click window.
Okay.
Click the one that says window, and then you'll see the PowerPoint.
All right.
You should
Garrett,
see
you've
the
done this before, man. You're amazing.
Is it working? Is it showing?
Go to PowerPoint. Yeah.
You have to click the PowerPoint and then click the share button at the bottom of that window.
Okay.
No, share button. Uh-oh.
Sorry,
I don't know how to
everybody.
get out of this. I did tried
No,
this.
it's okay. We'll get it.
Do you see the PowerPoint? Do you see the PowerPoint on your? Sorry, brothers and sisters. We're just working through some things. Ray has not worked with StreamYard before, so we're working through that.
Stream this to your audience. Oh gosh. You know,
What do we do in PowerPoint itself? You said we have to do.
You can try. You can try. You have to do it from the StreamYard screen. But let's while we're doing that, while you're looking at that, let's see if we can nail a couple of questions.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
yeah.
You
So,
answer questions.
all
I'll
right,
try to.
sounds good.
So here's one, Ray. Kate.
Does Ray need a license to make Disney characters for sale to Disney, or is it covered by being a subcontractor to Disney?
That's the number one popular question I get every day. So I it's a great question, deserves an answer, but I'm not allowed to talk about any internal details. I'm so sorry, I can't answer it.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, he has to have a tight lip with Disney. Disney is a big company, and they're protective over their copyrights and what have you, and what goes on in the background. I would be too.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so it looks like there was a question here. So this is from Vortex 8. They were talking about in the comments. I was trying to kind of follow up on that. So Vortex 8, our brother Vortex here, he is volunteering. So he was saying in the feed that they're actually asking for volunteers at the Mark Adams School of Woodwork to get ready for classes next week. So I think he put this out there. If anybody is in the Indianapolis, Indiana area and you want to volunteer to work at the Mark Adams School of Woodworking and help get things set up for classes next week, that would be great. And I saw Vortex has actually been invited to help teach Intro to CNC. So congratulations, Vortex. That is fantastic.
That is fantastic.
I love that for you. So
you might want to contact me if you need a special guest up there for a day.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Very cool. All right.
Oh, okay. This is from Rod Hess. I saw this question before. Rod is adding water-cooled spindle to his machine. He's wondering if anyone has ever had problems with the water pump failing. He's concerned about that and the spindle overheating. So, Rod, with a spindle, I posted earlier a video that I did, a 3-minute video that, if you can see on my machine right there, is it's a little blue spinner thing right there. And what that is, it's just a little spinning wheel that you plug into your tube, your coolant tube, and that wheel will spin when the pump is running. So you'll know whether it's running or not while the machine is doing its thing. Yeah. So you can, Julianne, find that. Here we go. Time for a drink. Julianne, find that video and repost that, please. So do you think you got it working there?
Nah.
No. Okay.
Got it. But Maurice's here, and I've got some pieces I can show you here and talk about those.
Yeah.
Maybe
Absolutely.
We just have to go to plan. So can you put Maurice on as my amazing?
Yeah, we can bring her on.
All right.
Absolutely. So are you over? So this is Ray's wife, Marisa.
She's right there.
Let's check out some of the stuff that you do, and then we'll talk about some of the techniques that you use to
First
do
of all,
that. So,
you see this right? Wait, no, it's reverse. How do you do this? Up there, that little like dust filter up behind my head, over here, right there.
Yeah,
I didn't notice.
it's not reverse for us.
Really bad right now. I just noticed it. All right, so go to Maurice's camera. Okay. we'll do that. We need my volume on my computer here. Is that right?
Just leave your computer on, the volume on the computer, and you'll just have to talk a little louder because her microphone is turned off.
All right. All right.
So is this
Cool.
how, can you see? I don't know. I've never done it this way.
Can you reverse your camera so you can look at it from, you know how you do that.
I'm not using the camera. I'm just using the screen where
Oh,
I'm
so
showing my
you
face.
have to wing it here. So let's go over here. Well, I'll show you some of the stuff we've been working on.
Yeah, just tell her to point the camera at you, Marisa. Just point the camera at Ray, and whatever he's pointing out, just point it straight at it.
Just point my camera at him, right?
Yep,
Okay.
at him or whatever he's pointing to.
Okay.
That's good.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
I'm going to show you some of the CNC stuff that I've been working on. I'm new to CNC. This is brand new to me. So I don't know very much about it. But as an artist, I'm using a little different than most people. Most artists, like painters, or can do a painting and then they can sell limited edition, prints and stuff like that. And that's where they their bread and butter comes from. It's not from the original. But I've never been able to do that. It's always been, one of a kind, and I do that and it's fun. But so CNC's kind of opened this up for me. So what we've been doing is doing hand carved originals. The original is hand carved. Then we do like a 3D scan of it to make a model, and then we're putting them on the CNC to rough it out and then finishing it all up by hand. So there's just, I'm really surprised at how much labor there still is in it. I mean, it's amazing. It's slow and tedious, but yeah, it's working. So I'll show you some of the current CNC stuff. Over here, we can go over here.
All right. So just talk with a little more volume in your voice. So
Okay.
Yep. Okay. There we go. You're doing fine, Marisa.
Over here, like this is the original was a hand. This was like a hand carved charcuterie.
No.
This is how it looks when it comes off. So we did a scan of it, and it comes off the CNC looking like this. If you can see it.
All right. Turn your camera up just a little bit. There we go.
I like this. It's pretty rough, but with some loving care, you kind of get it. I'm trying to get the light.
I'll bet that's an odd feeling, having spent the time to carve that out, and then you 3D scan it and the machine carves it out.
Oh, it's great. This is really great. It's super helpful. After 40 whatever years of doing this by hand, this is wonderful. Also, my work makes people happy. They get this happiness thing. It's great. More people can be happy. I can bring the prices down a little bit. So, there's still a lot of handwork here. We're still having a good time doing it. Here's another one. Let's see. I'm looking at the camera, trying to see if we can get this light. Right.
You're doing fine. We'll guide you if we need it.
All right. So this is a. Wow, it's hard to see. It's actually an ash urn. Information Memorial ash urn, and on the back, it was dirty. There's a little compartment for some ashes.
Now, is that a hand carve?
This is the original was hand carved. This is the CNC copy. So it comes off the machine, looking kind of like this, right? If you can get in close, you can kind of see. There's a lot of sand. There's quite a bit of hand tool work that needs to be done here too.
Yeah, that's a serious carve.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah, beautiful.
How long did it take you on the CNC?
Oh, 9 hours, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's a machine. I don't really care how long it takes. It's like, just go do that over there. And while that's working, my assistant Lissa and I can be over here. We're doing the other stuff, preparing the next one, doing the sanding and hand carving, the finish work, and color work. So, the machine just runs over there.
How long did it take you to hand carve that last one you just showed us? Marisa, your finger's in the way.
Your fingers.
Oh, sorry.
It's right here.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't keep track of my hours, so I don't have any idea. Long time.
What do you know what software you did to convert that to 3D?
Say it again, please.
Do you know what software you used to convert that to 3D?
Oh, our son Cody does that for me. He's like a 3D print guru. So I just use it to him. He does it. I don't really know how he does that. Yeah.
Okay, and for the rest of that question, that software does not turn it into G code. Your CAM software turns it into G code. You have to do design. You have to do some design things to it, and then you have to put it through your CAM software, your toolpath software. So just answering the rest of that question, how did that get turned into G code? Okay, so that big piece, are you able to pick that big piece up that you had on the table so we could see it?
Which one?
The first one you were showing us. No. The very first one. Before that.
Your big one on your workbench.
On my workbench. Oh, over there. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
This one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is a commission. It's for a collector. Most of the work I do is for collectors or private commissions. And I'm not actually sure how to pronounce this. Chautauqua. It's up in New England somewhere, and it's a historical landmark of some kind. So this is in its raw wood state. The carve is done, so it's ready for airbrush work and staining, and then the color goes on top of that.
Right. Wow.
You got
this one's hand carved.
Correct. That's how they all start. They all start like this.
That's insane. Wow, that's crazy. Beautiful work.
See some others? Look at this.
Now you have a course that you actually teach this, right? You've got a that'll be an interesting one. Wait, what's that figure that okay, go ahead.
I do. So old stoners. So to see this, I have 2 online instructional videos for streaming for both traditional wood carvers and CNC wood carvers. So the first one is very basic carving stuff, just some really basic stuff, and you can carve some simple lettering. So it kind of takes you all the way through where to get started and how to finish it. And then the second video is a deep dive. Now I did this for CNC carvers because I know color and finish is a thing. That's a big puzzle. It's like, where do I start? How do I get there? So it's a 3-hour streaming video, and I go all the way in. So that video, it comes with a model for your CNC, so you can cut. This is the original. This is hand carved, but you can cut this, and then I'll show you how to take it from raw wood to this point. Right. So the idea is to kind of just answer some of those puzzling questions. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So Ray has a course that teaches you how to work with that, and he gives you a model too. So we'll put the link in the description a little bit later, and I have a discount code for his course too. So anyways, like so come back to your computer for a moment.
Yep.
Pop your computer. Bring his computer back in, Julianne. There we go, and we'll pull Marisa back out.
You must be here somewhere.
There we go. So then, so that last one, all is well. You actually have a course for that one. Correct?
That's the one. Teach you color and finish techniques.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the color and finish. We got a lot of questions that are popping in here.
Okay.
First of all, there was a question: what was the wood that you carved that latest sign that you're working on, the Chautauqua sign?
Oh, that's a Malaysian hardwood. It's called Jelutong. I will spell that for you. Jelutong. Jelutong. It comes from Malaysia. It actually comes from a rubber tree. It's the type of rubber that they make chewing gum from. So it's a light blonde color, and it's a hardwood, but it's a very soft hardwood, if that makes any sense at all. So it's beautiful for carving. Pattern makers use it. Wood carvers use it. It's kind of hard to find.
I can imagine.
I think I own most of the supply. Yeah, Jelutong wood mostly, but I also use Honduras mahogany. I've got some other pieces here I could show you later if you like. That's another one I use. But there's some woods are great for carving, some not so much.
Are those your primary woods, the Jelutong and the other one?
Yeah,
okay.
Jelutong and Honduras mahogany.
Okay. Wow. All right. So let's get into some of the things that we can teach here. Dig into your brains. So first of all, we were talking. You're going to share a bit about airbrush, right? So many of us who carve, right, we'll do the 3D projects, and then we can airbrush those projects, or even our 2D projects, and or what have you. So let's dive into that a little bit.
That sounds good. Go ahead, Garrett.
No. Just because I know nothing about airbrush, and it'd be a nice and interesting thing to dive into. Kate, have you ever done airbrush?
I have tinkered with airbrush. And when I say tinkered, I mean I have an airbrush from Harbor Freight that I tinkered with. So, but I did like the technique. I think my biggest struggle was in wanting me to invest into a bigger one or a higher quality one is the cleaning time. I am terrible about cleaning out things because I'm out in my shop and I don't have it's a detached pole barn and my shop detached from my house. So I have to go in the house, clean it out, stop what I'm doing. And I'm usually have the CNC running and I'm working on other projects. So I just wind up laying it down and then it's
Yeah, it doesn't work with airbrushes. So the good news is you can tinker with an airbrush. You probably shouldn't tinker with neurosurgery, but you can tinker with it. Yeah, airbrushes they're kind of finicky, and the good news is those Harbor Freight ones work great. You don't need one.
You did a terrible job.
Let me get my airbrush, and I'll kind of explain that to you.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll make a quick announcement for those of you that are asking questions. As of course you know, Ray's our special guest, so we're gearing a lot of our questions towards Ray. So if you do have CNC related questions, maybe try to hold those until next week, and we will be back to address a lot of those questions. But please go ahead, Ray.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yep. On airbrush, this is not a Harbor Freight one. It's actually a very high quality one, but it's old. Like this design was from the 1930s. This is a Pache H brush.
Wow.
It's just a workhorse. I've been using this brush for 40 years or something. This is great.
Wow.
And so those big fancy airbrushes, see this button at the top? That's what releases the air and causes the spray to go. So the fancy ones are called dual action, where you press the button down and then you slide it back and it causes the spray to widen up or get narrow, right? But you can do the same thing with this thing. You actually can. It's like if you look at it, it's like a garden hose. And see the cone, there's a cone and a needle, and then the paint jar goes right here. Like that.
So you raise it up just a little bit there.
Okay.
So when you turn that little cone, it widens up the spray or narrows down, just like a garden hose.
Okay.
Right. So that's kind of how it works. I can show you how I use it if you want.
Yes, please do.
So airbrushes are kind of finicky, and one of the reasons for using airbrushes, it gives like a graduated color right? Color blend. You can do that by hand too. Most of that I do by hand. When you see that in my work, I use airbrush for one specific thing, and that's my backgrounds. So, Garrett, you mentioned this early on. One of the principles, and actually this kind of work for sure, is that dark recedes away from the viewer and light comes forward, right? So if I want something to recede into the background, I darken it up. If I want something to come forward toward the viewer, I lighten it up. So when I'm on a raw piece of wood like that Chautauqua one that you saw, the first thing I'm going to do is darken up that background, and I do that with the airbrush. And I can do that now if you want to see how it works.
I mean, by all means, I'd love to see your technique.
And share your technique. How we need to think about this. But I have a question. When we're doing wood projects and we want to airbrush, do we need to prep the wood before we airbrush, or can you just brush right on the raw wood?
You can do both, but in this, most of the time when I'm doing it's raw wood.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the airbrush to darken the background up, and then sand the foreground and return it to a light color so that you get some contrast, right? And the effect is, hold on, is this. See the background behind Mickey is darker?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the foreground is lighter, like the border area here. Or around the orange.
Like the texture.
Yeah, back there, right? Or the welcome. So I sand those back to natural, and there's a contrast that causes the background to recede visually and causes the foreground to come forward.
So after you airbrush, you sand back off.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I've seen you do that, Garrett. On how did you do that? I've seen you do it before. Didn't you use spray paint or something?
I just use spray paint out of a can, and then I can sand it down.
Right. Same thing. This is just spray paint.
But this is far more technique, I would imagine, as you get.
Yeah, spray paint's pretty crude. That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
But it doesn't take much. You know, my students, I teach also. People come from all over, everywhere for these retreats. These are beginners.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
There's absolute beginners, and they're using an airbrush first time, and it works.
Okay.
Yeah. What type of paints are you putting in your airbrush?
This is just airbrush acrylic paint. Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was like a special brand, or if you recommended a brand versus another, or.
That's a good question, Kate, because I get that question a lot. Like, what kind of paints are you using? What kind of seal? They think that, because my finished work is it's different. Verb. It's articulate and nuanced. They think that it's the material, but that's not it so much. You can use cheap paints if you have the technique to use them. So it's mostly what you see is technique, a lot of practice.
Okay. Yeah. Have a question here that is a good question from Deb. It says, do you use tape? Do you tape up your projects before you airbrush them?
Rarely. No, I do it freehand. There are some instances where I want to do that if I want to make a stencil to get a particular shape or something like that. Yeah.
That's smart. Okay. Yeah. I think the reason I was asking about the paints is because I remembered I used acrylic paint when I first put it in, and it was too thick. And so I had to water it down. And that's why I was like, is there a special type of paint that you need for an airbrush? And you're saying an acrylic spray?
Yeah, I mean, you just you go down to your local Ben Franklin or Michael's or whatever, or just, it's just airbrush paint. And to answer your question, it does have to be the right consistency. It can be too thick and not spray. So I thin it down with a little bit of water. There's no ratio for that. You just you put it in there until it starts working. That's the right ratio.
That's kind of what I figured out too. I'm like, well, it's not spraying, so it must be too thick. So dump that out, add water, mix, and put it back in, and keep going at it.
Yeah,
So
when you stop getting pissed off, that's the right ratio.
Oh, really? So you'll actually keep trying until you get a good.
I mean, I know what it is now. I can look at it and stir it, but yeah, you got to experiment with it.
But for those who don't, well, you know, how just add a little water and then try to.
Well, you know, so I pour this stuff into my little cup here,
Okay.
and maybe 3/4 of the way full, and then maybe an eighth of the jar of water.
So is it maybe like a tablespoon of water?
Maybe something like that, yeah. And stir it up and test it out. If it's not spraying correctly, add a little more. If it's too thin, it'll just come out too light. But you know, at least you're not clogging up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can always add another drop of paint in and mix, dump it out. But I always like those little I call them the little cups I used at my grandma's house to rinse your mouth out with. You know, like the little
a whole bunch of
cups from the dollar, like the Dollar Tree or whatever. I call them the cups from my grandma's house when I used to brush my teeth. Rinse your mouth out. Okay.
By the way, popsicle sticks are a must for every wood carving studio. I've got these big boxes of popsicle sticks. They're great for stirring. Yeah.
Just to mix your paints and okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, what PSI do you use when you're airbrushing?
40 to 50. 40 to 50 PSI.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, that was a great question, Josh. Because I have a little gauge for my air hose as well. And when I was playing with that thing, my husband was like, why don't you try and adjust the PSI? And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't really think about that. But that's a great question.
If you use too much pressure, it won't work. The brush will clog. If you use too little, it doesn't have enough lifting power to pull the paint up out of the jar. So you should work, 40, 50 right in there. I'm going higher than 50.
All right, cool. Just so some of the folks that are watching now, there are some questions in the queue that are more CNC related, and we want to keep our questions towards Ray and some of the things he's doing here. So we're going to bypass those questions this week and bring those back on next week. But just to answer one of them, yes, I've already ordered the alt mill.
Ooh, very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Oh, I was going to ask you. Okay. So I have found myself doing a lot of detail work and hand sanding. I'm sure you have the same. What method of sanding do you like? Do you have like some certain little tools that kind of get like little crevices, or tell me about your sanding technique. I feel like that is so like an overlooked subject, but something we all do so much of.
Yeah.
Great question, Kate. I was just teaching about this too. I have a friend of mine who's from Mexico. He grew up in Mexico, and he served a traditional apprenticeship at his uncle's wood carving studio. Traditional apprentice. For the first 4 years, all he did was sand. That's what you do, right? And so I know we roll our eyes, right? But Martine eventually, he's a really good wood carver, but he put in his time. And the way he explained it to me is this: sanding it's not something you're trying to get through and get done. It's super enjoyable. There's a zone that you can get into, and you start sanding really well and paying attention. And so that's what the purpose was when he was doing his apprenticeship. It's to okay, find that zone. It's an important job. You're not trying to get it done. You're trying to learn to slow down and master this one thing. And it was a really important thing. So I have a helper now, Alyssa, who is doing most of my CNC stuff, but she started, for the first 2 years, just sanding, and she just got really, really good at it. It was great. It's great. But don't look at sanding as, if you can look at it as, an art form, it takes on a whole different. But to answer your question, yeah, I've got some sanding stuff for you. Let me put my airbrush stuff down here.
You're fine. Well, I just want to say I have to give a huge shout out to Ellen because you guys all know Ellen in the comments, or Madra as her YouTube name. She has always told me I love to sand, and I said, "You are nuts. I hate sand. Sanding is literally like I hate to sand. It is literally the worst thing on the planet for me." And she's like, "Oh no, I put my headphones on. I just get into a zone," and she's just sanding away. And I could literally just see her about ready to come out of her chair when you were saying what you were saying. And she probably had the biggest smile on her face because I am just dying when you were saying about getting into a zone. And I, as someone who works with epoxy a lot, there's so much sanding to do. And it's just like, I'm going to learn to have to try and channel my inner Ray and just my zone.
They call it Zen sanding.
Zen. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to make myself a sign that says that. Zen sanding.
Speaking of epoxy, Kate, I've got a project that I'm going to need some guidance on from you.
Yeah. All right.
Very interesting project.
So see these little things? These are very fine riffling files.
Okay.
Right? You can get them on Amazon. So they come in all sorts of different shapes, and you can get them inside of.
Julianne, bring that screen full.
Does that work good?
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
There you go.
See, they come in different profiles
Mm-hmm.
and different shapes. So I'll show you another one. Here's another one.
And now what are these called again? Rifling?
Or riffling. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they're for getting in tight spots. Like if I want to get into, like down in that area, down on the side there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're great. They come in all different shapes, so you can get some real fine detail that way too. Another really great tool is this one here. I don't know if you've ever seen this before.
Oh, a little flapper wheel. I love those.
Yeah, it is. It's called a mini mop.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get those from Klingspor. They're pretty aggressive. Like this is a fine one. This is 220 grit, so you have to be careful with. When I first get them, I kind of soften them up and I put them down on the concrete so it wears them out a little bit because they're pretty aggressive. You can actually carve with them, but this is a great thing, Kate. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
And you just put that on a Dremel. And
when you order them, you have to order this mandrel also.
Oh, yeah.
Klingspor Woodworking mini mops.
Klingspor.
KLINGSPOOR. Klingspor.
Okay.
I'll get the package. I'll show it to you.
Thank you. I am always looking for things to sand with, and I get so annoyed because I can't find anything that I want.
Kate, you're going to love this.
The mini mop. All right. I love it. And now you said we need to order the little like shank with it too?
Yeah, it's a mandrel, but you have to slow down your rotary tool go really slow.
Okay.
If you have a Dremel tool that you can slow down to a low setting.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 because I'm always trying to get. I'm always on Amazon trying to like hunt for little things because I know Woodcraft sells. It looks like almost like a little nail file, and then it has sandpaper that goes over the edge of it to.
Those are great too. I use those. Yeah.
Yes, those. But I'm like, okay, I need something like you were saying, like those little rifling tools to get like in those little dinky spots, or like you want to flatten out something.
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially like when you're saying like what you were doing with like that leaf and that 3D carve, when you're carving all the way down into it. Do you know how many times I wanted to pull my hair out because I can't get into those little, the little spots in between, like where the leaves intersect, and you need to get like in this little dinky hole, and then you're trying to like round it out with like a little metal bit, and then it looks too rough, and then you're trying to sand that, and I'm just like, there has to be a better way.
Hey, Kate, have you ever seen these? These things instead of a Dremel tool? Do you know what this is?
That is a nail drill. I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, it's a micromotor, right?
I have one.
You do. Well,
I do.
They're variable speed. You can speed them up, slow them down. They're much more articulate than a Dremel tool, and you can hold them in your hand and use your fingers with it, rather than this big old Dremel tool that you're trying to. Also, a very sharp chisel or gouge will take a lot of that sanding stuff, make quick work of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was tinkering around at Harbor Freight one day. My daughter was doing something, I don't know, looking for some project or something at Walmart, and I ran in there and I found these little like files that you could get, and they were almost like little well, they just look like little skinny files that you could buy. And I was like, okay, well, like I said, I'm always on the hunt for things that I can sand with, file with. Yes. I like those better. Those look like they have a little more.
Amazon, baby.
Amazon has everything.
I know they do.
Sanding twigs. Somebody call them sanding twigs.
I just ordered some of those, but I don't know what they are. I haven't gotten them yet.
There's a little there's something I've never seen before. Like a little sanding sticks.
There you go, Ray. You need to set yourself up an Amazon store with all the little who's its and what's its.
Here, I'll tell you what.
I'm going to visit that store for 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to put a link in the description or in the comments so everybody can see what we're talking about. Gonna throw it in there. So Ray, can you like demonstrate a little bit of the airbrushing or something? Can you?
Sure. Yeah.
Are you set up for that?
Can you put Marisa back on as the amazing camera person that she is?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Going blind. I'm doing my best.
Just remember to talk a little bit louder, and then so you.
All right. Remind you to talk really loud.
There you go. Oh, it looks like I froze up for a moment.
I can't see what I'm doing, so you need to adjust.
All right. There. So you point that down there.
There you go.
Oh, all right. So in the background area back here, behind the sailboat and the clock tower and all that, this area is background. I want it to recede. So I'm going to do a very light dusting of airbrush back here. And the key there is very, very, very light. And what I'm trying to do is to hit, I call this an object. Anything in my composition is an object. Doesn't matter what the shape is, it's an object. Sailboat's an object. These are bats, by the way. They have bats. It's placed in the clock tower. A tree is an object. So what I want to do is a very light dusting of the airbrush spray from all four directions. From that way, that way, that way, and that way. All right. So I'm trying to get it to show up on the edges of my objects. And as soon as I see it show up, that's enough. And it's so easy to overdo this. So it's best to just kind of underdo it until you get a good feel for it. So
gosh, that's beautiful.
That's an amazing piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know how many hours that took to carve?
I don't
know. Enough.
He said he doesn't keep track, so
it's the engineer in you, Garrett. It's
he's an artist.
I don't care how long it takes. It's just fun. So, all right, so I got a little test piece of wood here. I'm gonna test the airbrush and see if I got the spray. Now, if I tighten it up, I get almost nothing. If I widen it up, I get a bigger spray.
Okay.
I just want a very light spray. Almost maybe.
And how far away are you holding that right now?
Maybe 6 inches. Okay, that's what I want. I just always have a test thing here. Now I'm
Okay.
going to come on in this area right here. Let's see if you can see it. Yep, over there. So right along these objects here, I'm maybe a foot away now. As soon as I see it show, see it? I don't know if you can see it. It just started to go up. Okay, now I'm going to go over this direction.
That is such a fine mist.
Yes. Now these are objects. I have to get those too. Little bats. And you see, you can barely see it. I'm going to come over here.
Marissa, turn the phone up just a little bit.
Say again?
There we go. No, never mind. You're good.
I'm going to come back
So
here.
So you'll focus all this just on the background. That's all you're going to worry about, right?
Yeah. I'm just doing background right now.
And you're holding that about 6 inches away?
About, yep. So now I'm going to come down here to the lettering, this area down here.
Yeah.
And I just want to get the background behind the lettering. All of this is covered on my instructional video, by the way.
Okay.
So, and then, like, okay, I did it all from this direction. Now I'm going to turn my piece, and I'm going to get these edges. Now up here, I'm going to get my objects along that clock tower.
So I'm assuming you have your air compressor in a different room. Is that correct?
Yeah, Eric, I just unplugged it just because so it didn't interrupt us. Right?
Okay.
There's pressure in it where it's working. Now I've gotten all these edges. Now I'm going to turn it and do all of these edges. See how it's darkening up?
Yeah, it's just so light. It's such a light.
Yeah, but it's actually the next thing I'll show you, you'll see it's not as light as you think it is. It's heavier than it looks. Now I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to do all these edges. Now on the lettering over here.
All right.
That's pretty good. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah.
And Kate, the first thing you do when you stop airbrushing is to take that airbrush apart and put the pieces, the parts of it in water. Because this paint will dry really fast and you got to keep the parts clean. But Kate, you know, these single action airbrushes, they're really easy to clean. You just take them apart, put them in water. I mean, I'm already done.
Yes. Julianne had a question for you. She said, "Can you airbrush a thin stain?" Or
Sure.
Is that a no?
Yep. No, you can do that. Sure.
So, did I ask the question, Julianne? You're going to bring you out. You can ask the question directly. There we go. What's
I
the
didn't
question?
mean for you to star it, but someone had mentioned it looked like stain, and I put it in my head. Well, why not just put the stain in the airbrush? So I don't know.
Well,
I've got an old desk that I need to do something with, and I don't want to necessarily paintbrush it. So I'm getting ideas.
yeah, it'll work. It'll work. I mean, what is stain? It's color. It's color. It's also sealer. So the next step would be, I would come over. Hold on, right side. I'll show you. Because I want to show you how that. It looks like it's very light, but I'm going to show you what really happens. So I'll get these letters so you can see them. When you sand that off, that's pretty dark.
Wow.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Wow.
paint is just right on the surface. So it's not just bled in at all.
Yeah, it's barely. It's a very fine mist.
Okay. Did you get your question answered, Julianne?
Oh yeah. I'm good.
Okay.
Nothing on.
All right. So what are some precautions we would have to take into account when we're working with airbrushing?
Oh, just keep it clean. I mean, I don't think it's not dangerous. You're probably not going to hurt anybody with it. So keep it clean. Even a cheap little Harbor Freight airbrush actually works pretty good.
I mean, it did. I mean, it wasn't that expensive, and
it's $15 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it's very, very affordable.
I'm assuming that you're always on the move, though. You're not holding airbrush at any one point.
That's a good point. You don't hold it and press the button. You're constantly moving your hand. It's like not like that, right?
Okay.
Can we get that demonstration one more time for the people in the cheap seats?
This one. Look at this piece. So look at this piece. I used an airbrush on this. This is a statue.
Yeah, that's neat. We spotted that earlier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So all of these areas in the background, back here in these areas here, I did with an airbrush. Then I sanded it off to leave the darkness in the background and bring it forward. So that's the whole point behind the airbrush, the way I use it.
Is that solid wood?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's mahogany. So it started as a pile of boards, just like you get at the lumber store, and then laminate them together to form a big block. Then it's carved.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay, got a couple questions here, Ray.
Mhm.
Take it, Kate.
Sure. It says, Ray, I do some furniture restoration and want to ask, what do you consider the best finish for furniture in terms of durability? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't really do furniture, so I can't answer that. Most of the work I do.
You do projects that are outside all the time, right? I mean, so how do you protect those?
I'll show you this stuff. This is called Paraffin Verde. I'll get you on the camera here.
I think you showed that last time, and I looked that stuff up, and it's pretty pricey.
It is.
But I'm sure if you're using it, it's pretty well.
These things cost many thousands of dollars. I want to protect them, right?
Yeah.
If it costs a little bit more, I'm fine with it, right? So this is their green. I mean, the Verde. It's their green version. It's environmentally friendly. They also have a environmentally hostile version, which I stopped using because it's so volatile. But it's I've had really good results with this. It's great.
Okay.
And is that a urethane? What is?
No, it's a penetrating oil sealer. So it's a stain. You get a different color. So it's got some kind of carriers that carry the oil soaks into the grain. Like if you look at a piece of wood, what microscopically, it's a block of tubes, and so it's sucking all that oil into those tubes and running and penetrating and hardening inside the wood. So that's for the undercoat. So I'll seal the whole thing with a penetrating oil. And then I'll do my color work, and then I do a clear coat over the top of that. It's not a penetrating. It's a polyacrylic. It's made for exterior. I've got some right here. And I got to tell you, this is. I've had good results with this on certain types of wood, but not everything.
Okay, so it's a matte version, Master Clear Supreme. Okay.
Yeah, it's not glossy. I don't like glossy finishes.
I don't either. I always use a matte. I always have to ask my clients, I'm like, do you want anything other than matte? Because I don't do gloss. And they're like, oh, whatever you choose is fine. I'm like, sounds good to me.
But matte isn't completely flat. It reflects a tiny bit of light and kind of adds depth to it. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Master Clear Supreme. Sorry, I was trying to talk, listen, and write.
So I wanted to go back to your airbrushing for a moment, if you don't mind, Kate. I wanted to ask about, well, Ray, you have a course out for that, right? And so tell us a little bit about your course.
Well, the course, I mean, that's one part of it. It's my whole technique. It's like how to take a raw piece of wood and get it glowing and radiant at the end of it. So there's a whole process that you go through to kind of get. So the airbrushing is one part of it, but it's also what kind of stains, what kind of sealers to use, how you're sanding, okay. Colors, color combinations, what kind of things stay away from, what seems to work well together. So it just kind of takes you through all of that, and it's a deep dive, though. It's I mean, it's a lot there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the deeper the course, the better. So this is Julianne. Expand the screen, please. This is here. It's the all is well sign that you were just showing us.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a video.
Okay. Yep.
It's a streaming video, and it comes with a CNC model, so you can carve this on your CNC, and then you can work right along with me as I'm doing these colored and finish techniques, and you can really see how it's done. So you can try it along with me.
Okay. There we go. All right. So I have a discount code for that as well. Julianne, if anybody's interested in learning what Ray was just showing you, then you can, Julianne will put the link to that in the description, and put the discount code that Ray gave there too.
Yeah. All right. So I did see a couple of really awesome comments in here. Or there was a couple comments and a couple questions. So this was a great question from Kevin Rich. He's asking, do you do a rough draft before you do your final carve?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Everything is, the process goes something like this. I'll be dealing with my client. Most of my work is commission work. So, and we brainstorm ideas and then come up with some rough ideas for concepts. When the client chooses the rough thing, then it goes to one of my illustrators. I have two of them. An Imagineer buddy of mine, David, and then there's Justin Rich. He's also an illustrator. So it goes to them, and they do a clean sketch of it, like a nice clean up job. And when that's approved, then I'll enlarge that pattern, usually done at like a blueprint place and makes big paper patterns.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Lay it on the wood, trace it on there with graphite paper. That's how they get the image on the wood. Not CNC guys or laser guys, you can probably do that some kind of automated way.
So you're really not too far from where you originally started when you're saying you laid this graphite paper out and you're tracing it. So maybe that was the beginning of the end for you.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Oh my gosh. I think that's really cool that, I mean, you have to go through all of these really cool like steps and process. Cause I know you said on our last one, I don't know why this stuck with me, but you said you do a lot of work, obviously for Disney, but you also do a lot of like collector's work. Yeah. So you really get to have your own personal touch and kind of finesse and what the client wants and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Now, when you're working with them, do you still kind of do that same process, or do you just take over full creative reign and run with it?
With Imagineering, with Disney?
Well, just like your collection clients.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's I totally can do pretty much anything I want to. But this is storytelling. I mean, that's really what we're doing. Matter of fact, that's what we do at Disney. It's storytelling. When you go on a Disney ride, it's not a ride, it's theater. There's a script, there's a soundtrack, there's props, and that's how we speak of it. So like my part, we don't call it a sign. So, like the first thing you see is my work. So you don't call that a sign, it's a marquee. When you go to the theater, there's a marquee. So
interesting.
So it's storytelling. So even when I'm doing work for commission work for clients, I'm telling their story. So we're finding out who are you? What is the story here? And it's a little storyline.
I love that. That's so cool.
We're
storytelling. It's always been magical anyway. So bringing it to life through these works of art is just magnificent.
Thank you.
So we're going to have to make a trip out to Disneyland. We've gone to Disney World, but never to Disneyland. So I will get it out. Is any of your work at Disney World?
Used to be. I have, I've never been there. So I'm not sure what's still there. I know I did a bunch of work in Animal Kingdom and Winnie the Pooh stuff there, Indiana Jones. I know Splash Mountain. I'm not sure what's still there. I'm sorry, I can't answer.
Animal Kingdom's pretty cool. I won't lie.
Yeah, it's a great place, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So we'll take a couple more questions here. Let's see. So we have John Paul. He says, Ray, where can we source the best woods for carving? I know we touched on that. And do you do your own edge gluing to make your own large plank carvings?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, see those clamps behind me right there? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So for decades, I worked alone. That's not the case anymore. I have a whole team of some of the best carvers around. I mean, these people are good. There's 7 of us. Wow. So, and kind of the way that process, I'll answer your question. So the process, I do with the clients, and it goes to Illustrator, and then it's going to go to one of my carvers, and they'll glue up the blanks and do the rough carve work, and we ship them. It's like Ryan's up in Canada, and Tyler's in Idaho, and Dan's in Reno, and so we ship them back and forth. Here, do this section, send it to this, So I come in at the end now, and I'll do the parts that nobody else can do, or tighten it all up, and then I do all the color and finish work. So, but to answer the question, the sources for, here's how to do that. It's hard to find these kinds of these exotic carving woods, and Google's probably not going to do it. You're going to have to get on the phone and do some detective work. So what I do is I call up, hardwood lumber retailers, like furniture makers, use these woods, and if they don't have it, just say, who else do you know? What's another retailer? It doesn't matter where they are. They can be in Ohio. I don't care. So you just have to start doing it that way, and you'll find it. If you do that, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think, what was it? Okay. So this may sound kind of out there as far as finding hardwoods, but this is how I've come across a couple of different places. Cause, buying like wood, like olive wood from Turkey and things like that. I've talked to a couple designers, like from Fiverr and different places that I've had maybe, like my logo and things animated and done or whatever. And I'm like, hey, and I was going to like a random question. Do you know anybody that has a mill in your area, and what type of woods do you have? Like, do you carry any type of specialty woods? Like, can you maybe like send my number to somebody, or can I have their number or whatever? Because, it's just like it operates here. Like, we know you're out in California, and Garrett's here in Indiana, but we know, Mark, and he's out west, and it's like, we know all of these sources. So why not ask? I always operate on the approach of the worst they can do is say no. So, it's not your usual approach, but who knows?
That's great. You know, you're going to pay for shipping, and it's going to be expensive. But so I mean, yeah, if you do some detective work, eventually you're going to find out that I own most of it because I buy it all. It's like when I find it, I buy everything now. So.
Oh my gosh.
Brian said he just signed up for your course.
All right, nice. So, hey, listen. The other half of that question is: do you glue up your own edge glue? Yeah, yeah. Use bar clamps like what's behind me right there, and you have to be sure that you have good, clean, milled edges that fit tightly all the way across, and you have to clamp on the back side as well as the front side. So you alternate your clamps from front to back, so you get even pressure and it makes a nice flat surface.
Mm-hmm. What is the glue that you use for your glue ups?
Titebond 3.
Titebond. Okay.
Waterproof woodworking glue. Oh, there's another thing. This is kind of a tricky thing. So this is when, okay. So when you're gluing, you can see right in the middle, there's a seam there. Do you see it?
Very slight.
Yeah, okay. So a tight joint. But when you remember this, what I said, that a piece of wood is a block of tubes, right? So when you remove wood from one side of a blank like this, more of those tubes are exposed. So moisture is going to drain from this side quicker than the back side. So it causes it to cup. You'll get kind of cupping thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I edge glue my stuff, I clamp it harder on the back side, more clamps on the back than on the front. So it's slightly bowed toward the back. Then when I remove wood on the front, it kind of flattens out.
Wow. Interesting technique. As CNC creators, for those out there who run a CNC and have done some 3D carves, you've probably run into that, or done some large pocket cuts. You've probably brought that piece of wood off. You're going, why did it warp up? And that's exactly why. You're taking stresses out of the material on one side. You're exposing, and it's drying up faster, losing more moisture. Is that?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. 100%. It's wood is a work of art, but it is also very can be very temperamental with a lot of things.
It's very forgiving. It's both. It's forgiving and temperamental. It's like my wife, Marisa.
I think my husband would say the same thing. Yeah.
I got a question from Josh.
Yep, go ahead.
Bring that one up. What size needles are you using in your guns?
Well, I usually use a number 2 or 3. So they come like the Pache airbrush that I use is number 1 is the finest, number 2 is medium, number 3 is the largest one. So I don't generally do a lot of really fine work. I have them all. They're easy to change out.
Okay. So there's a few other people. So I know we touched on this one a little bit, but our Facebook user wants to know: do you need any talent for airbrushing?
Not really.
You feel like it's something like you could easily pick up and kind of run with? Oh
yeah. But the students that come to our retreats, they're just regular people. They've never done any woodworking. Most of them are not artists. They have no experience whatsoever, and they can do airbrushing. You know, it's like that word talent. I think it's overprescribed. When you see someone who's really good at what they do, you're not seeing talent. Like the first time they did it, didn't look like that. It just sucked. Just like the first time you do. It's just they've done a lot of it, right? So It's not
Practice.
talent. Talent doesn't have much to do with this kind of repetition over and over and over again, or having someone show you. It's just no one's ever showed you how to do it, right?
It's a skill you've just kept
Yeah.
building on and building on and building on.
Yeah.
You've acquired the knowledge. Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay, so this is a good question from Deb. You have a long tube. Do you change your tubes for different colors?
Tubes. What's a tube?
I'm guessing maybe like the paint cup that, like, are you taking that off, rinsing it out, and then putting another one in?
Of course. Yeah. The paint is in this little bottle there. So there's a tube that feeds the airbrush, and you got to rinse out, clean it too, along with the airbrush parts. The cleanliness is everything with airbrushes, or they can get really finicky. So
Yeah.
Kate, get a simpler airbrush so you don't have to really think about that quickly. Yeah. I take it apart, put it in a glass of water over there, and then I deal with it later, so I don't have to slow down.
Smart. Yeah. All right, couple more about the airbrushing. This seems to be a very popular topic. Do you use distilled water in the airbrush paint?
That's important to do when you're using inks for illustration work, that kind of stuff. You have to be really careful about the chemical composition and the minerals in the water, but not for this. No, it's just
okay.
This is pretty Fred Flintstone stuff.
Okay, and I know we talked about. Here, this is a great question here. I actually, when you posted that picture, I thought, ooh, I wondered the same thing. Are you going to have any other 3D files available for CNC?
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
That kind of it's tightly guarded right now. This is my limited edition stuff only. But maybe.
I love that phrase, limited edition. Yes. Get it while you can, because you don't know what's going to be coming down the pike. But I love that. I know that a lot of people would embrace the opportunity to make something like that. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. All right. So here is a very random one, but we're going to pop it out here. Tall Paul's dunk tank. What colors do you want on your tie-dye?
Yeah, Tall Paul showed up last time I was here. That's my brother, Paul Kinman. That's who Tall Paul's dunk tank is. Yeah. Paul, so he's done a tie-dye t-shirt for me, right? And yeah, Paul, that's great. You do whatever you want to do, brother.
Is that the dead giveaway? What color do you want on your
exactly
tie-dye?
Right.
Oh goodness. All right, let's see here. So we have one from Rod. How long do you allow the paint to dry, overnight or by touch?
The airbrush paint?
I'm assuming.
Okay, I'll cover both. The airbrush is dry within minutes. The wood is very porous and it's a very light dusting. So, yeah. I mean, you saw how quickly I sanded that. So, yeah. If you're talking about paints like the surface paints here, let me answer that question another way. So the background stain, the paraffin, that's supposed to cure for a couple days. So you want to off gas before you put any color on. These colors are a combination of artist acrylics and latex enamels, house paints, actually, exterior high gloss paints. So they're really quick. They dry really quick. As a matter of fact, if you're not careful, it'll dry on the brush. So I use an extender. This stuff here, it actually slows down the drying time. So that
So
they dry so fast. I want to dry slower so I can keep them workable.
You mix that into the paint?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to just take a minute and just a little side note for those, if you are appreciating this and bringing this stuff on. At IDC Woodcraft, on Google, I am working on getting the reviews up on the Google page. And so if you're appreciating this and you think you're getting something out of this and the Wednesday evenings that Kate and I are doing to bring people on, if you might take a minute to leave a review on Google, and Julianne will put a link into the comments. That would be wonderful. My goal is to get 500 reviews on the store. So I got 100, 150, 155 right now. So that would be much appreciated. Thanks for the commercial break.
Give you a review right now, Garrett, because we've been using the IDC bits here, and Lissa loves them. So you got to find. By the way, Julianne, Lissa needs a 3/8 inch ball nose bit. She got a chip in her, so we could soon send it. Yeah, anyway, yeah, great stuff.
You got a chip in one of the bits?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
not sure how that happened. Yeah.
Yep, she'll make a note of it. We'll get it sent out tomorrow.
There you go. How is she doing, by the way? I know she reached out originally and we were talking, and I mean, how is she doing with her CNC journey?
Amazing. Lissa she's one of my students, one of my local students. I have a student coming from all over the world, actually, but she was a local student, and she showed up, and I noticed one thing different about her. I could say something one time, boom, she got it. I never would have to say it again. I'm going, okay, I'm going to watch her. And her work is getting so tight and perfect. It's amazing. And even with the CNC stuff, it's like one time she's got it. It's amazing. Wow. She's doing great. Really proud of Lissa. Yeah.
Good. Hey. Well, congratulations to her. I'm very, very happy for her. That is incredible. I had to ask because I know you had mentioned that last time we had talked in December. I mean, here we are. It's
3 months.
What month is it? Yeah, I'm like 3 months. March, April. I can't keep track of time anymore.
It's 3 months. It's 90 days since the last time it was on.
That is quite down. Did she do those 3D carvings of that tray and that flower?
Yeah, she's doing it all. That's amazing.
Wow.
She's gone on to the finish work. She's doing the color and the finish now, and that is some tight work. When you look at that is some tight brush.
I was gonna ask, like the color. It looks like it has almost like a velvet, like
the texture.
Yeah, it just looks so buttery smooth. It's just
yes.
Like Mickey's face and his ears, like the sheen, and that's why I asked about like the sand, like the sanding.
Let me show you why.
It's just insane.
You look down here, see the little shadow down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Raise it up. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's hand. I mean, she's painting in shadow and highlights. See the little glint right here?
Mm-hmm.
Right? See the little glint right over on his pants right there?
Mm-hmm.
Shadows and highlights, you'll see them all over this. So it's not just painting a color on, but then you come in afterwards and you put in shadows and highlights, and all of a sudden it starts looking very dimensional. So some of that's illusion. I mean, the shapes are there.
Yeah.
But it's the highlights and shadows that make that come alive.
Wow. It's just like
extraordinary, isn't it?
It really, extraordinary does not do that work justice. It really does. It's magnificent. Like, just to look at it and just to see how it all comes together. And it's wood. It's wood. That's what is just so damn impressive about it. Sorry to say that online, but it's just like, Lord have mercy.
I so wish I could show you what we're working on now. To blow you away, Kate. It's just
I know. I'm sorry. I am like, when it comes to things like this, I am just blown away. It's like the architecture of a building, or I don't know what it is. I have been fascinated with it since I have been a small kid. My dad is a huge history buff, and we would travel all over the place, and we would look at all these gorgeous churches and these murals and the Sistine Chapel and all these things. And I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, just,
Yeah.
and all of this stuff is just done by hand. It just is insane to me.
It is.
It
is.
All right.
Element.
I saw a couple more things about one about your workshops that I wanted to address. And then there were a couple more really cool comments I wanted to throw out there, but we'll talk about this one first. So New Elements is asking, workshops are sold out through 2025. Will you be holding more that can be booked?
I'm so
So
sorry.
these are the live trainings that Ray is doing. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
They've become very popular. I do them once a month. I don't want to do them any more than that. It keeps it fresh, and I love doing it this way. But I feel if I did more of them, it might not be so fresh. So I'm so sorry. If you're thinking about doing this, you have to think way in advance. There is a waiting list. You can get on the waiting list, and you'll have priority for new dates as they open. We have cancellations too. So
How do they get on the waiting list?
it's available at the website. It's one of the options.
Is it on this? Oh, okay. There you go.
Okay.
Get on that waiting list.
All right. So let's see here. Mr. Dean, he says he's looking forward to this evening. Thanks at IDC Woodcraft for setting this up. 90 days from now, I'll be in Ray's classroom. I can't wait.
Ooh.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Remember the name Dean.
All right, Dean.
All right. And then I saw this one here from Mr. Bob. Hi from Gig Harbor, Washington. Just completed Ray's retreat over the weekend. It's amazing what I learned.
Oh, Bob's project came out so good too. He did this a whale, and there's a Mount Shasta, Bob. I can't remember the big volcano up there. Mount Rainier. There it is. It came out great, man. He came in there just not knowing at all what he wanted to do, and yeah, it's great. Hi, Bob.
Makes me kind of jealous. But we
Uh-huh.
can't get in.
Yeah, Garrett's the mountain. He loves the mountains. He's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. If you go, that's what you need to do. You need to do a mountain. That'd be pretty cool. All right. So a little bit of a random question for where we've been going, but do you use a mask when you're doing all this painting and sealing and all the things?
Yeah, of course. I also have this big air filter behind me running. So, I mean, that's a really powerful air cleaner. So it takes a lot of it out. For sawdust, yeah, always wear a mask. Always. For some of the solvents, I'm using these. They're low. I don't know what the word is. It's the green formula, so we're not putting off a lot of gas.
Yeah.
So not for that so much, but yeah, sawdust is that one. Right.
I learned, I actually, from one of my one-on-one students, he had told me that walnut is actually one of the most toxic
That's true.
dust when you're cutting. Yeah, walnut, just regular that we use all the time. Everybody's
Really?
milling up. Yeah, he actually, I don't want to give away his medical details, but he had something that he had developed. It was a long-term thing, and he was been working with wood for most of his life, and as a kid with his dad, and now he is with an adult. And he sent me a link on it that walnut spores are actually extremely toxic, and you really need to be more careful when you're working with it. And I was like, I work with walnut all the time, and I did not know that. So every time I pull a piece of walnut off the shelf, I mean, I try to be very conscious of it anyway, but more so now that I've heard that, and I'm like, well, what you don't know is sometimes what you don't know, and
Yeah.
you got to be careful. So, anyway, sorry to get off on that little soapbox there, but
No, someone sent me a chart, and I have to find out through my email, but it's a toxicity chart of the different materials. All right. And even Mark Lindsay was talking about that a bit, one of our shows.
Yeah.
So there's different toxicities. If that person is out there, send that chart to me again. I'll make that available on the website.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool resource. All right. Well,
one of the worst offenders is Paduke wood. It's this fiery orange, beautiful, beautiful hardwood. Well, I tell you, you run that through your table saw, and it's like, oh, I mean, it's true. Yeah.
I think that's one Mark mentioned a lot, because I know he's used that on several different projects, and that name just kind of sticks with you. So I remember him saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a question here from Nova. It said, what piece of work are you most proud of? That's a tough one.
I'm proud of it all. And I'm actually, it's a team thing now. So I'm really proud of my team. It's like, I can't take credit for all of it, but I'll show you a picture of a recent one that was just great. Hold on 1 second. I got it right here. This is an extraordinary piece. And Randy Stoner is kind of my right-hand wingman here. He's doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the carving now. So I certainly want to give him credit for this one, as well as the recent one at Disneyland, the Adventureland Treehouse. That's, he did a lot of the work there. It's great. So
I'm seeing some of the. Julianne, we've still got some time left, so you can search for some of the questions that were after 9. Pop a couple in.
That's kind of what I was scrolling, look and see.
And I'm seeing some reviews popping in, so thank you.
Okay, so here was a good question here from Jeffrey Davis. This one's, what was the name of the other tools he uses for sanding, the hand tools he uses for sanding? He's asking about the hand tools that you use. What is the name of them?
I didn't answer the question. What is the name of the other tools he uses for sanding the hand tools? The hand tools. Like these are not really sanding tools. They're just very, very sharp gouges and chisels. And so rather than sand it, you slice it off. I think that's what this question was about.
Yeah. Right. Or what was the one you said that was your dad's? What you held up kind of like a round object.
I borrowed the money from my dad to buy this.
Okay.
Look how worn it is. It's amazing. That's a hard rock maple mallet, and that's for two things. When you do carving, it's for muscle, right? So you can knock those pieces of wood out of there. It's also for control, so you can take little tiny bites. Right? All right.
Okay.
So here's the piece I want to show you.
Oh, you were working on that one last time.
Right, we got it done.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, that's
I've
10
seen
inches
the Go ahead, finish up.
10 inches thick. It's actually 3 pieces, 3 depths. So see how it's a wall safe. It's supposed to look like a wall safe, right? And so see how the door looks like it's swinging out toward the viewer, into the room? It's not. That's called forced perspective. So it's the same depth as Scrooge McDuck and the calculator and the ribbon there. It's all the same depth. But it's drawn in such a way to make it appear like it's swinging out into the room. Now, if you look at that treasure vault scene in the background there, same thing. See how those roof beams it looks like 20 feet deep. It's not 20 feet deep. It's just making you think it is. So this is 3 pieces: the wall safe door, the duck, and the calculator and ribbon are 4 inches thick. And then the ring that is the opening for the wall safe is about 1.5 inches thick, so that those two pieces are glued together and then carved as if they're one. And then the treasure vault seen in the back is another piece that attaches from the back. That's also 4 inches deep. And all those coins back there are 23 karat gold leaf overlaid on those. That's an extraordinary piece.
Yeah. I love that, like the shading around his eyes, and I mean, just like in the light blue, and the like his glasses on his nose, and holy smokes!
You know, originally I was going to do the whole thing to make it look like what's that bubble?
I think maybe Marissa is maybe accidentally hitting something.
No, I think that was my finger over here.
Oh.
The whole wall safe and the ring, you know, it was supposed to be metallic, right? It was going to be, because that's what it would look like in real life. And when it kind of started getting to this point, I went, no, I don't want to do that. It looks great. It's got just the right amount of cowbell right now. I'm just going to put some hints of some of that silvery and gold color, and then it worked great.
Yeah, you can even see the gold yellow undertones in his jacket, like where the red.
Oh, you see it, yeah. That's layered up. Those colors are layered together. It starts with a base color, and then you build it up a little bit at a time to get that dimension.
Are you sanding in between your colors?
No.
No? Okay. Wow.
There's none.
I've got I brought up a picture. I found a picture of you on Facebook, and so it shows that in a bit more detail.
Oh.
Yeah, but while we're looking at a computer screen through a computer screen, and so
okay, good, yeah.
So there you go.
There it is. Okay.
Oh man.
Now you can see the detail. See the little coins? There's like 800 little coins in the background back there.
That's nuts. And and you're painting shadow between all those coins.
Yeah, every one of them. Yeah.
Okay, now this one, did you take your hours in this one?
Nah. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how long it takes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can see it where your hands are, as far as, like, you know, when you said like you're holding it, like it was one
size of it.
One piece.
Right.
That's crazy.
Thank you. You should see the one I'm working on right now that I can't tell you about.
So let's look. Oh, I can tell you want to blurt it out, but
I do.
The question is, will you ever be able to tell us about
it? I have to get permission to do that. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The answer to that, when you go to Disneyland, if it looks like my work, it probably is.
I think my favorite. So Cinderella used to be my top girl, but then I loved Aladdin. That's probably like my #1 favorite Disney movie. I don't know what it is, but it's just something, and it's like I could only imagine the colors and the texture that you could come up with that big, like, just her hair and her outfit and the, like, all the gold that she wears and her tiara, and holy smokes, I just
extraordinary. If you look at those, Kate, if you look at the way they're drawn, look at like a still drawing, they're very simple. They're like, I've always had, the human characters. I have never had much luck carving them. I've never been happy with it because of the way they're drawn. I can't see the shapes. They are very simple lines. Look at it from that perspective sometime. You'll go, oh, that's true. Everything's implied. It's not really.
It's interesting. So the art is created, and the mind fills in the rest of the details.
Correct.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Forced perspective.
I never really thought about it like from that type of perspective. Like, I mean, with the florals and things, yes, you're going to have the texture and the centers or the sign. And what I think what is really cool about your signs the most is the actual depth. Like when you were showing us, like when you were painting that, I mean, the depth of some of those letters looks, it looks like it's maybe an inch or two deep.
Sometimes, yeah. You know, some of the big ones they get really deep. Yeah. Some of the ones like at Disneyland, you know, those are like 8 feet by 4 feet, you know, thick. Some of them.
Yeah. Well, that's what was going to be my next question is like, what's the thickest? Like, obviously when you're doing like that statue, that's completely different, but like signs wise, like what's your, do you have like a standard thickness that you would use?
No, it changes. It depends on the scale, but like the one we were just working on, you know, this one, can you see that seam?
Like a little bit, yeah.
So the chautauqua is a piece of wood that's glued onto the surface of the blank for extra depth in that area. Right? Okay. So that's called high relief. So if you want to build something up, like, you know, the Scrooge McDuck thing that I just showed you is high relief, really high. So it's not just subtractive, like the way we do it with CNC, where you take it away. You can also build it up for extra depth.
Okay.
In spot areas, right?
That got me thinking, Kate.
Oh, trust me, the wheel's been spinning for.
Yeah, I can tell you were too. You just went off in space for just a moment, working on that. How can we apply that one?
Yeah. I'm.
She's gonna wake up in the middle of the night tonight, going, "Oh, what was that?"
A brilliant idea is going to hit.
I'm gonna be like rolling around, going, "What is that? What can I make next?" Yeah, I think.
Questions from there.
Oh, we have. Oh, okay. Let's jump on them. All right. So, Miss Mary, when you paint, do you use paint extender, and how do you get the paint to look so muted?
Good questions. Not always, but paint extender is good for extending for two things: for extending the drying time, so you got workability there. Also for thinning down. Quite a bit of what I do is way thinned down, so the wood is showing through also, right? So it's not always opaque and hard. Sometimes it's transparent. And to get those muted colors, you build them up from the background forward, right? So grays, it's getting you to learn the color wheel and how they combine as they layer forward. So you kind of think backwards. You start with the background and bring it forward, if that makes sense. So the extender, I've been playing around with it lately. I found a new technique where
that's the best.
You put extender on the piece of wood, like let it soak into the wood. Then I have extender in the paint, and you put it onto the wood, and it just kind of, it's like water. Really neat, really thin and beautiful, and so they come out looking like tints rather than paint, like a kind of a muted tint color. So you're right. That was really observant question, actually.
Yeah. I thought so too. Okay. So we have a question from Lester. Where do you get your paint brushes for painting?
Oh man, you know, you can spend a lot of money on brushes, but you don't have to. Most of them, because I want to feel the softness of it, I'll just go down to my local art supply store and try them out. You know, I don't always buy the really expensive ones. Sometimes the inexpensive ones will work just fine. You know, $3, $5, something like that. But I've got some $80 brushes too. But it's not. It's the touch that I'm looking for. So you can get them at your local Michael's or whatever it is, you know, Ben Franklin store mostly, I think.
You know, I have to say that's very refreshing people that are doing this every day, because it's, you talk with a lot of artists and you talk with a lot of people and they're like, oh, I buy these, illustrious things that are $5,000 a piece. And you'll no, you're like, I love it. It's just very refreshing because you're like, no, you can go to the Michael store. You don't need to buy the
Yeah.
90 brush.
Right.
Like,
Right.
if it feels like a good quality, go for it. Like you said,
I don't buy them online because I can't feel it. I want to feel the softness of it and the tension. So you can't, just go on Michael's. Yeah.
Yeah, they have good stuff. I buy their paintbrushes stuff all the time. All right, we have one final question to wrap up the evening. I love this. How much did Scrooge McDuck end up weighing?
Hi, Susan. Another one of my students. I don't know what it weighed. There's a saying in woodworking: measure twice, cut once.
Yep.
The nice thing about carving is I don't ever have to measure anything. And that's CNC's been a hard adjustment for me because it's all about measurement. So I don't know what it weighed. It's not that much. I'm gonna guess 20 pounds, maybe.
That's still quite a. I mean, that's still quite a bit. No, what was I going to say?
Well, just to let you know, your brother is getting ready to sign off. He just said he's going to sign off, so you can say
Hi,
bye
brother
to Paul.
Paul. Love you.
Yeah. I feel like there was. Is there okay? So I know this is going to sound like a really stupid suggestion, but one day somebody is going to look back on all your work and ask these questions. How much did it weigh? How many hours did it take? You should maybe start even if it's like a little private journal for like just your family, like you should like put a clock to it sometime and look, I mean, you got to think like generations ahead, like when my kids do this stuff or they take their kids, and I'm gonna be like, I talked to that guy that did all those signs that you guys are seeing. And they're going to say, Mom, how long do you think that took? And I'm going to go, I don't know, because Ray would never tell us.
I've written the stories down. Okay. So,
good.
Yeah.
I mean, you seriously could write a book on all the things that and your knowledge. And it's just, it really is remarkable. So you should.
Thank you.
Do yourself, your future self and your future generations so people can carry on this beautiful craft, because it's not something that you see in today's world. It's just, I mean, there are a lot of really talented artists and things like that. Please don't mistake me for saying that, but this level of craft, I think, could be carried on. And
the art director I'm working with right now said something to me, and I just kind of hadn't thought about this before. He's going, I don't know if you know this, but people like you are gone now. They're either retired or died or those things. And, the younger generations, all digital stuff. So it's a very rare thing. And I hadn't really thought about it that way before, but that's true. So that's why I'm teaching. That's what I'm teaching now. I'm kind of, toward the end of my career. So I'm in the pass the torch stage. So that's the idea.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Alyssa's been doing a phenomenal job, but I mean, even family members and future generations of your own family, like just to know like your story and how you did it and why you did it. And I mean, you really are. I mean, Garrett and I, in my mentor relationship with him, he's always talked about, leaving a legacy and what will people remember you for? And these beautiful, stunning works of art are your legacy. I mean, even from 47 years ago.
Boy, that was some bad stuff.
Well, you know what? I mean, but Kate is 150% right. That's when we become good at something, we don't see ourselves as something special. But but when the people are saying, "How long did that take?" It's beautiful work, blah blah blah. And they ask the same question over and over again. You have a skill, so and a talent, way beyond the skill and the talent. You're a master at the craft, so it is a legacy.
Well, Garrett, could you please repeat that for Marisa? Tell her how amazing I am right now. I'll score a point.
I got it.
That's funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take a sentimental detour there, but
It was a wonderful point, Kate. Good to be brought up.
yeah, I mean,
Because we do. All of us will leave a legacy, and are we conscious of the legacy that we're leaving? And
Yeah.
yeah.
and I know it sounds kind of off the beaten path here, but like me driving over to Ohio and meeting with this gentleman, Dan, that I've been working with, and we're going to be cutting this big, enormous stone on his machine. You know, the first thing when I pulled up, he was so warm and so welcoming, and you know, we're talking and this and that, and he's showing me around the shop, and about within the first 15 minutes, he goes, "Well, I have two people I want you to meet," and I was like, "What? You want me to, like, who else would I meet? Like, it's just me." And he's like, "You're going to go meet the mayor and my boss." And I was just like,
Wow.
I'm going to meet the mayor of your town? What? Why? Me? Why? Like, why? Like, I'm not that important. No. Like,
But
no,
you're important.
I mean,
You're
I was
important
very
enough for that.
flattered, and that's what I want. Like, I want you to feel that, and I want you to see that, and that's was kind of my point, is we don't see ourselves like that, but outsiders looking in, you have an extraordinary talent, so you need to
Thank you.
leave your legacy, Ray. Leave your legacy.
Yeah. All right.
So,
All right. Well, with that moral placed before you, Ray, it is our time to check out. And folks, remember next week, Greg, he is still hanging out there. Greg, we'll be seeing you next week. So we got another CNC brother joining us. Again, take a minute to thank Ray for taking time out to show what he does, and take a little time to demonstrate some stuff and give the little tidbits, right, that we don't think about when it comes to craft. And this is it. It's like we learn from those who have mastered it, and then we become the masters, and we pass on that legacy, right? So with that, Ray, thank you so much for coming on the show with Kate and I again. And we will definitely bring you back again. What would you like to share with the crew before we check out?
I just like that word master. Could you repeat it again for Marisa? I'm scoring a lot.
Ray is a master.
You know what? I will say that. Okay, so I don't think I'm a master of anything. You know, I have seen the work of the masters up close and personal, and I tell you, it's a very humbling experience. You know, I'm nowhere near that level or where I hope to be one day. So, you know, beginners like everybody.
Well, that's another beautiful perspective. A true master is never finished learning.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and a true master, it can be have the skill level that bit. We're all always learning. Right?
oh yeah.
So,
One more thought, Garrett, because this is my favorite quote. Michelangelo said, "If people knew how hard I worked to achieve my mastery, they wouldn't think it wonderful at all." Hard work.
Kate and I can relate to that quite well.
Yes. Every day.
Yep.
As
All
long
right,
as
brothers and sisters. It's been another wonderful evening. Next week, 8 o'clock sharp Eastern Standard Time, we will be here and have another guest on board and learn more CNC. Thank you, Marisa, for being the technical backbone for Ray and getting things taken care of at the last minute.
Most welcome.
Yep. And Julianne in the background, thank you for keeping things straightened out. All right, folks. Ciao.
See y'all. Bye.